BTS. 뭐야?
Emerald Ocean.
Emerald Ocean.
Pure white.
Pure White. 뭔데?
Sky blue.
광고야?
Sun kissed. Crystalline raindrops.
와, CNN에서 BTS가 뭔데? 무슨 광고인데?
Woody fresh. We hope this word will always stay with us. Hydrogen, the positive energy.
이야, 현대차 광고였어.
Because of you.
이야. 네, 안녕하세요. 매일매일 운동하는 동타 왕코입니다. 어제 야간 근무 첫날이었습니다. 피곤했는데 CNN 광고에서 BTS가 나오는 걸 보니까 국뽕이 차오르네요. 스쿼트 하는 날이죠. 월, 화, 수. 오늘 수요일이죠? 어제 화요일, 오늘이 화요일, 어제가 월요일. 똑같이 스트레칭하고 스쿼트 하면서 팔굽혀펴기까지 다 하겠습니다. 요즘 운동에 필이 왔어요. 아직 오늘까지는 그래도 약간 체력이 남아있는 것 같아요. 첫날이라서 그런가, 잠을 많이 자서 그런가. 퇴근하자마자 진짜 피곤했는데 지금은 좀 버틸만 하네요. 샤워를 해서 그런가. 일단 스트레칭 조금 하고 스쿼트랑 팔굽혀펴기 연달아서 휘몰아치겠습니다. 운동을.
Connect the world with Becky Anderson.
It all starts here. Changing, fighting, creating, connecting. That's why we're here. We live here, we work here, we're from here, and we'll go wherever the story takes us. I'm Becky Anderson in Tehran. We are in Jerusalem. Real news that shapes our world. Exploring not just what's going on, but why. I just want to press you on one further point. Getting perspective on this region from this region. Places that many of us know, but few of us get to see. Observing countries on the move, still rooted in tradition.
와,
It all starts here, and that's why we're here, bringing you the world from our Middle Eastern hub.
Connect the world with Becky Anderson tonight on CNN.
I'm Scott McLean in Madrid, Spain, and this is CNN.
New tonight, Texas reopening for business. Governor Greg Abbott making a big announcement that the state's malls, restaurants, movie theaters can reopen on Friday at 25% capacity. Erica Hill is out front.
Dinner and a movie back on the menu this Friday in Texas.
All retail stores, restaurants, movie theaters, and malls can reopen May the 1st.
Occupancy will be limited to 25%. The governor's new executive order supersedes all local measures. The mayor of the largest city in Texas urging caution, holding up a copy of the Houston Chronicle with the headline, "Local Cases More Prevalent in At-Risk Neighborhoods."
I know people want to open up. I got that. But many of the people who live in these communities, these are individuals who are serving the tables, and these are the people who are riding the bus, and what they are asking for
더워,
is not
벌써 더워.
necessarily when we are going to open. But Mayor, tell me, what are you going to do to keep us safe?
Denver's mayor choosing to delay reopening as his state moves forward.
We didn't feel like we were ready. We felt like more needed to be done. This virus is not going away. It's going to remain with us for a while. Then we need to make sure we're building an infrastructure for the long haul.
Mississippi still urging residents to stay home, maintaining its ban on gatherings of more than 10 people, yet allowing retail stores to open today with restrictions. In Florida, more beaches poised to welcome residents as the governor, once pushing to reopen, adopts a cautious tone.
I'm less concerned about a specific date than I am about getting it right.
Ohio, one of the first states to take aggressive measures, announcing today its stay-at-home orders will remain in place, though a phased reopening begins Friday. Retail, however, won't resume for another 2 weeks.
I have an obligation as governor of the state to do two things right now and work every day. Get people back to work and keep them safe.
In New York, expect some areas, including hard-hit New York City, to open much later.
In some parts of the state, some regions, you could make the case that we should unpause on May 15th. But you have to be smart about it. There is no light switch where you flick a switch and everybody goes back to doing what they're doing.
More than a dozen states have started easing restrictions as business leaders and health officials warn more testing is still needed.
What we're seeing now are governors, increasingly, they're putting together economic recovery teams, but it's completely delinked to the public health component.
Tyson's chicken processing facility in Shelbyville, Tennessee, now closed for deep cleaning amid new questions about the country's meat supply. The company's chairman warning the food supply chain is breaking. As experts note, there is enough food, though the variety may change. And just in terms of the food supply, too, we're hearing different things. Aaron, we're actually hearing from hog farmers in Minnesota. There are concerns that there are not processing plants for those animals. They may have to consider euthanizing them. Meantime, in New York State, the governor's saying today that dairy cooperatives upstate have had to dump some of their milk and milk products. So he's now working on an initiative to get some of that product down in this area where there is a serious spike in need at food banks and food pantries, Aaron.
All right, thank you very much, Erica. Of course, so much of these suppliers struggling to go from proprietor restaurants to now to individual buyers. All right, I want to go now to the mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner. And Mayor Turner, I appreciate your time. I just heard your reaction, Erica's piece, to Governor Abbott's announcement about what's going to happen in Texas later this week. So what are you telling those citizens who are asking, what you're going to do now that the governor has said businesses can reopen?
Well, we're telling them to still be very, very cautious. We're letting them know that the virus has not disappeared. It's still in our communities. How prevalent it is, only the testing will tell us. But the social distancing, the wearing of facial coverings, all of those things are important. Aaron, look, just today, I announced 74 new cases in the city of Houston and 4 more deaths. That's directly related to COVID-19. So the virus has not disappeared. We've done an excellent job at containing it and minimizing its impact. We don't want to undo what we've successfully done over the last 40, 45 days. So testing, continuing to being cautious. I too want to open up, but I think you have to do it. You have to ease into it very slowly, and it has to be based on the science and the data and the medical advice.
So when Governor Abbott says his order supersedes all local orders, I guess, what does that mean? Is there nothing you can do at this point but allow business owners to open if they want? And how has he responded when you've told him how you feel?
Well, I respect the governor's position and his role. Certainly he has the final say in the state of Texas. But for the city of Houston operation, on those things that are permitted, produced, authorized, my order will remain in place through the end of May. For those events that we specifically permit, city employees, for example, will continue to work remotely from home where we can. We'll continue to engage in all of the practices, the social distancing. We'll continue to do that. The governor did open up, for example, the malls and the movie theaters and the retail and restaurants, 25% of capacity. That's going to kind of be difficult to enforce. But look, I give people a lot of credit. I think they recognize that if things don't appear to be safe, I think they're able to take the necessary steps to pull back and to stay home if necessary.
Well, it's a fair point, because as this happens across the country, there's no way that this can be policed. That people are going to have to do what they think is right, and businesses are going to have to do what they think is right. But this happens in the context of Houston, right? This is one of the biggest cities in the United States, and you have coronavirus and what's happened to your economy. You had a slowdown in oil beforehand. About a third of your regional GDP, your third of your economy comes from oil alone. Last week, oil was negative. Basically had to pay people to take it, to store it, because nobody's using it. It's a stunning thing that none of us ever thought we would see in our lifetimes, and it happened. It's barely recovered from that. But I mean, what are you going to do as Houston in the situation where oil prices are where they are?
Well, let's just put it this way: it certainly is the Super Bowl of crises that we are facing in this city. But we've faced many different disasters in the past. I've been mayor now going on 4.5 years. When I came in, we faced the tax day flood in 2016. We faced Harvey, the storm of all storms in 2017, Tropical Storm Imelda, and now we're dealing with this virus. But one thing I can tell you about the people in this city is that we are highly resilient. And Houstonians, we pull together like never before. We know how to bounce back. And so this is another one. We're very resilient. And we're dealing with the coronavirus and we're dealing with the economy all at the same time. But I can assure you, there is no city, no people like Houstonians that we deal with it. We will deal with it head on. We are highly resilient. We'll bounce back and we'll come out of this. But at the same time, as we deal with it, it's important for us to be very strategic, to be very smart, to be very cautious, and recognize that this virus is real. And you really don't have too many opportunities to tell people to stay home. So you want to get it right as much as possible, and you want to respect and recognize the sacrifices that people have already made.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Mayor Turner. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right. And next, could a popular heartburn drug be used as a treatment for coronavirus? The doctor who is leading the research on this new study is my guest. Plus the administration warning the U.S. could see an unemployment rate that is comparable to the Great Depression. It peaked at 24.9%. Is that going to happen?
An emerald ocean. Pure white. Sky blue. Sun-kissed.
진짜 하나를 못하겠어요. 이게 한국부에 넘어가가지고 하복부 하도록 하겠습니다.
Starlit. Body fresh. We hope this world will always stay with us. Hydrogen, the positive energy. Because of you. Coronavirus is affecting the entire country and the world. Are we ready?
In the beginning of outbreaks like this, nobody knows what's happening. We're determined to keep reporting the story. Because that seems to be what worries the American. Because we're ready for it. These are the moments where our humanity really does shine through. That's the hardest part.
It's heart-wrenching.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN.
We are a small startup company, 6 people, so we are also very fragile. I think the business will come back. I'm very impressed by my fellow entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs who are still active.
이렇게 미친 듯이 해도 15분 안 지났어. 14분 23초.
Always opportunities. There is always a positive side. Maybe when we go back to business, we will see things differently, and especially
자,
concerning.
여러분 진짜 15분이 없다는 건 말이 안 됩니다. 아, 너무 피곤하고 그런 거 그럴 때가 있는데. 와, 너무 힘들다.
Well, due to the coronavirus pandemic, several prominent African footballers have vowed to donate money and hospital facilities to treat the spread of COVID-19 in their home countries. Cameroon's Samuel Eto'o has pledged to send food and sanitizing supplies to 100,000 people in his native country. The former Barcelona and Chelsea star is set to donate face masks, hand sanitizers, soap and food through his foundation.
It's recommended to people to stay at home as much as possible. To do so, you need to be able to eat every day. You cannot help everybody, but you can help even if it's just for 1 or 2 days. It's still something.
Liverpool's Sadio Mane has donated $50,000 to the National Medical Commission in his home country of Senegal. And the Chelsea legend Didier Drogba has offered up his Ivory Coast hospital to be used as a coronavirus treatment center. For more information on how you can help during this pandemic, go to cnn.com/impact.
What is the sort of daily routine like in the house for you there?
There's little things from just the approaches you can go through right now, obviously unable to hit any balls. It's been really a strict focus on the fitness side of things. I'm actually here with part of my team and my girlfriend, and first it started out with a lot of takeout. I've never really cooked, and now there's some new skills being discovered.
What's your go-to meal then?
Fish, pan-fried fish. That's easy to make. Also a big part of it, it's easy to clean up as well.
Very practical.
Yes.
Wimbledon will not be played this year. Organised.
Obviously, it's hard hearing sort of one after the other that events are being stopped, but I think it's very important to remember that sport, as wonderful as it is, people have much bigger concerns than we do about do we get to go to Wimbledon this year or not.
I'm Dan Canobilo outside London, and this is CNN.
Doctors are studying whether a key ingredient in the popular heartburn drug Pepcid could be used as a potential coronavirus treatment. There are now nearly 200 patients who are taking part in a clinical trial with Northwell Health in New York. Dr. Kevin Tracy is leading Northwell's study, and he is out front now. And Dr. Tracy, I appreciate your time. So let's just start here from the beginning. You have, since early April, been administering an ingredient
네 번째 세트 하도록 하겠습니다.
Pepcid called famotidine, I hope I'm saying it correctly, to patients who are in critical condition with COVID-19. So what is it exactly? How did you isolate that?
온몸이 아닌 것 같아요.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for having me on. The story of using famotidine in this clinical trial really originated in Wuhan in January, when Dr. Michael Callahan visited, and with physician colleagues there in China, noticed that out of some 6,000 patients with severe COVID, that some of them had a significantly better outcome. And when Dr. Callahan and his colleagues studied the medical records of those patients and the cases, what they found is that the patients who did better were patients taking famotidine, which is, as you say, the active ingredient in Pepcid and other heartburn medications. Dr. Callahan came back to the United States and collaborated with Dr. Robert Maloney on a computer program to ask the question, what could be the features of this drug, famotidine, the structural features, the shape of the drug, that might align with and interact with proteins made by the virus. And they focused on a protein which the virus needs to replicate, which the virus needs to live. And this protein is called a protease. So what they found in these computer models was that famotidine was like the key, and the protease was like the lock, and they fit together. So those two anecdotes frame the question of, might it be possible to study the use of famotidine in patients with severe COVID? That's how this started.
And so the dosage, I understand, that you're giving, though, in your trial is about 9 times higher than what someone would get if they were to get Pepcid, at the pharmacy. So why such a high dosage? And with such a high dosage, what sort of side effects have you seen? Have there been any concerns?
The dose, to pick the dose to do the clinical trial, again, back to models, to make estimations of how much drug would have to be in the body in order for the key, the famotidine, to sufficiently turn off the lock, the protease. And those calculations dictated or instructed the dose, which, as you say, is about 9 times higher than than what you would take in a pharmacy. However, very importantly, we're using the intravenous form of the drug. And the intravenous form, of course, is because we're studying very sick patients, typically with bilateral pneumonia, low oxygen in their blood, and having to be hospitalized. So hospitalized patients under the care of physicians skilled in this clinical trial are using the famotidine by the intravenous route to see if this approach causes more benefit than harm. We do not know today whether this will be harmful or beneficial in these patients. But when you're standing at the bedside of a loved one who's very sick and doesn't have any proven therapies, the safety ratio of famotidine is actually quite favorable. What we don't know is if it will be beneficial against the disease itself, and it's certainly an important question to be addressing right now.
So when do you think you're going to get results from this initial trial, which I understand you're hoping to have about 1,200 patients in?
The Data and Safety Monitoring Board and the statisticians who modeled the trial for us recommended that we aim for 1,200 patients. It's a randomized, blinded, placebo-controlled trial. So by the time we get to 1,200 patients, there will be about 600 patients treated and 600 patients in the control arms. What we are statisticians recommend we look at the data after the first 400 patients or so, and depending on how fast patients can be enrolled in this trial at Northwell Health in New York, we will find out when we can exactly look at the data. We estimate it to be a few more weeks. The good news is the admission rates in New York are falling. The disease is on the wane, and we hope it stays that way. So it's hard to put an exact time on when we'll have enough patients in the trial to analyze the data.
All right. Well, Dr. Tracy, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And I want to go straight to
바로
Sanjay.
누우면 바로 할 것
Sanjay,
같아요.
what do you make of this new study?
대박.
Obviously, they're putting it through a formal trial.
한 개 더 하겠습니다. 한 세트.
Well, that's what we need to be doing, is putting these things through trials. I mean, this is an interesting hypothesis. It has some, biological sort of rationale in that this medication, interestingly, could help block one of the receptors by which this virus enters the body. It sounds like, but Aaron, it's interesting. We talk a lot about these potential therapeutics, and understandably, given that we're in the middle of a pandemic. But I have to say that we would never present this on your program at this stage because it's just so early. We just don't. There's nothing to really know here except an observation out of China that people who were taking this medication seem to fare better than people who were taking another sort of heartburn medication. We'll see. There's a lot of trials going on right now. I'm a little surprised that we don't have more definitive results on some of the trials, given that some of them started in December. We keep pushing on that, and hopefully we'll hear about some more definitive, prospective, randomized results soon.
And that's a question I have for you. We know there are so many things being tried. And look, at some point, and I know there are points, people are very ill. They're trying everything they can. So it's not scientific because you're trying 3 or 4 or 5, you're doing whatever you can do. So you're not able to tell if anything works or nothing works, but to your point, there are a lot of things now being studied. Are you surprised that we have not yet heard about something being really effective? Because everything that there's been an indication of that, then we seem to get study after study indicating that it's not really the case. Hydroxychloroquine being an example.
Yeah, I am surprised by that, and I know that for example, hydroxychloroquine, there were lots of doses given to the state of New York. A clinical trial was going on in 5 hospitals over there. Governor Cuomo, we asked him about this at the town hall this past week, and he said that basically based on the hundreds of patients that they had seen so far, it did not seem to have a benefit, but they're still waiting for the FDA to look at this data and have it analyzed independently. So there's lots of steps, and there should be, good independent analysis of this for sure. But I am surprised that remdesivir is another one that we've been hearing a lot about, an antiviral. The World Health Organization posted some information on their website last week and then immediately took it down. Gilead, the company that makes the drug, said that was premature to have started to release any of these results. The study is still underpowered. It's amazing. You got 3 million people or so around the world who have confirmed infections. The fact that you have an underpowered study on one of the most talked about medications is surprising because it seems like a lot of people would want to be in these trials. So I'm surprised we don't have data. I'm surprised that we don't have enough people in some of these trials yet. We need to get this information because that could be a significant development in terms of how we proceed. All the other all the other issues that we talked about could be affected by it, by an effective medication, obviously.
All right, Sanjay, thank you very much.
Got it. Thank you.
And next, Tyson Foods warning that the food supply chain is, quote, breaking. Plants closing to stop spread of coronavirus. So should Americans be concerned? Plus, the president refusing to take a backseat to his medical experts despite growing pressure from aides and allies. So what happened to the promised new look and focus of the briefings?
못해. 아, 25분도 안 했을 것 같아. 26분.
I think it's very important. What we have to do is each person's got to do what they have to do, so we don't get anybody
이렇게
else.
야인 것 같지?
And so what I've done is
지금
Ivana across me.
어떤 할머니가 나오셨는데 시퍼런 아디다스 저지를 입고 있어요. 형광색 뿔테 안경을 끼시고. 오, 대박.
Try to do things I never have time to do. Everyone's really come together to help each other. But it's really important that we sustain.
돌 같은 거 모으는 게 취미인가 봐요.
For me, it's been the first time probably in my life I've had a true vacation. I really like to work. Work doesn't feel like work. But this has caused me to get sleep and rest I never get.
The American Heart Association has announced new interim
두통.
guidelines for emergency personnel when it comes to CPR during the coronavirus pandemic. The new guidelines include limiting the number of people
자, 이제 이거
seen when responding to a cardiac
10개만 하고
and prioritizing
오늘 운동
oxygenation
그만하겠습니다.
and ventilation strategies
10개 할 수
to
있을지 모르겠네요.
minimize the airborne spread of the virus.
힘들어.
Bystanders, the rules don't change, especially if you live in the same household as someone who needs CPR. If you're in a public setting and someone needs help, they recommend using a face mask or shield to protect both people. The American Heart Association says the goal of the new guidelines is to ensure that patients with or without COVID-19 who experience cardiac arrest have the best possible chance of survival without compromising the safety of rescuers.
못해. 오늘 여기까지만 하겠습니다.